Afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's school board meeting. The date is June 6, 2017. It's about 5:30 in the afternoon. As usual, we begin our meetings by invocation, and helping us with that will be Pastor Hugh Lakey from the St. Cloud Presbyterian Church. Our Pledge of Allegiance will be read by Mr. Mark Clench, our Chief Facilities Officer. Mission statement will be read by Ms. Sarah Graber. She is our Chief Financial Officer. Translation services will be provided by the Multicultural Department, Ms. Belinda Reyes, the Director. So at this moment, I will invite everyone to please stand up. Pastor?
Thank you. Will you pray with me, please? Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. Thank you for the blessing of the rain that falls that we so desperately need. Thank you for the privilege of living in a country and a state where we are free to worship and to educate our youth as we see fit. We thank you for the men and women who have fought to allow us to have that freedom. Thy Lord, we ask that you will bless everyone in this room, that your Spirit will be in here as the school board makes their decisions, as people represent their needs. Everything that happens in this night will be according to your will, will empower and strengthen our youth in this county. They will become better citizens of this world where they are so needed. We ask this in Christ's name. Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mark, aren't you going to sing the national anthem? Mark's going to sing?
If anybody wants to give it a shot? No? Okay.
Yeah, no, I got it.
Oh, yeah?
Is this on?
Yeah.
No, I'm totally kidding.
I was about to provide the back. We're going to do the background, but it's all
I
right.
wasn't here last time. I'm practicing.
Our mission statement? Everybody stay standing for mission statement.
The mission statement of the School District of Osceola County is inspiring all learners to reach their highest potential as responsible, productive citizens.
Thank you. And our translation services. All right, that's it.
Good afternoon. My name is Belinda Pérez, and I will be glad to provide you with translation services. Me llamo Belinda Pérez y será mi gusto proveer servicio de traducción.
Thank you. All right, and at this moment, we also ask board members and the superintendent if they have any positive comment. Starting from my right, Mr. Tim Weishire.
I'm good. Thank you.
Clarence Thacker is good. Mr. Ricky Booth.
Briefly wanted to say thank you to everyone who helped put the graduations on. I know there's a lot that goes into that. There was a whole team involved there, so thank you. Real quick, too, I'm just going to make my plug because I watched all 17 innings of the Women's College World Series game last night because we have two of our own. Not only am I a Gator, but we have two of our own playing for the Gators, Lily Mann and Alicia Ocasio. There was 5 runs the Gators scored last night. Lily Mann scored 2 of them. Alicia Ocasio scored 1 and had 1 of the RBI. So 4 of the runs of the 5. Now, they lost in 17 innings. It was a great game, but it's a 3-game series. They got 2 more games. They're playing as soon as we're done here. I'll get home and watch. So good luck to the Gators, not only because they're Gators, but because we have 2 of Osceola County's own playing. So turn on ESPN tonight and watch the College World Series, Women's Softball College World Series.
I'll do my best to move this along, Mr. Booth.
Yeah,
Mr. Wheeler.
I've got a few things. First off, I met with Dr. Pace and Dr. Respis last week to do a deep dive on our 3rd grade reading scores, and we made some progress. There's still work to be done, and I'm very happy that we're trending in the right direction. Thank you, Dr. Respis, for your preparation. I appreciate that. I want to congratulate all of the graduates. I thought the graduations went real well. I want to thank Congressman Soto for joining me for the Celebration High School graduation and shaking every hand. I stopped by today to to greet and welcome first day and principals, Mr. Pricer out at Liberty High School, Mr. Gilbert out at Celebration High School, to wish them well, let them know I'm here to support them if they need them. They're hitting the ground running. And finally, I want to represent, this didn't happen at our schools, but it did happen with one of our leadership team. Our school board attorney, Frank Kreppenbacher, also serves as the board chair for the Greater Orlando Aviation Authority. And they had an incident last week at one of their terminals, and I thought he displayed great leadership. And I let him know that nobody needs leadership when things are going well, it's when things are going bad. So Frank, I appreciate the job you did with that, with the community, with the airport. And Mr. Chairman, that's all I've got for tonight.
All right, so I know that Dr. Pace is not here, but Mr. Phelps, is there anything that you would like to comment on?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Soto.
Absolutely.
Last Thursday, I had the privilege of attending the celebration that honored our 25-year employees and our retirees. Wanted to congratulate each and every one of our 25-year employees as well as our retirees, and definitely wish our retirees well as they embark upon the new adventure in their lives. And also thank you to HR for their coordinating that event. They do a fabulous job every year, and also to HR or to Community Relations for their assistance with it as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Phelps. I really don't have much to add to anything other than good job with the graduations, with our 25-year and retiree recognition. I'm pretty sure that every school district does something similar, but I have been the witness to these events for the past 5 years, and truly, it doesn't seem like at all that this district just does them cursory. Everybody enjoys it. It seems like everybody is so genuinely invested in celebrating these moments, and it's quite special to participate. Thank you for all that you've done and for letting me be a part of it. So, what we have next are our presentations. Folks, the first presentation that we have is from the Osceola County Veterans Council. I see that they're here, and they are going to be presenting flags for the classrooms. Ms. Dana?
Good evening. The Osceola County Veterans Council initiated the Flags for Classrooms program in December 2005 when members of the council learned that many classrooms in Osceola County did not meet the legislative requirement set in 2003 requiring American flags in every classroom. Tonight, it is my pleasure to introduce Wilfredo Lopez, President, and Pierre Brault, Vice President of the Osceola County Veterans Council, to confirm their commitment to continue the program with a donation to provide Osceola classroom flags. Gentlemen?
Good afternoon, gentlemen, and welcome.
Thank you for your service, too.
On behalf of the Osceola County Veterans Council, and as the president and the vice president, we are here to present the Osceola County School Board a check for $1,000.
Very
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you very much.
Gentlemen, I just want to say thank you for your service, of course, first and foremost, and the service of all your peers, but also thank you for your commitment to our school district and ensuring that our students understand the importance of pledging our flag every day and what the stars and stripes really mean to each one of us. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Good to meet you.
It is absolutely my favorite item to have in my office, a flag. I think all of our classrooms have flags, am I correct? And this helps us. Yeah, this helps us continue that. Our next presentation is the anatomage or mage, I don't know how it's pronounced, table demonstration. And that is being brought, if you could just state your name and.
Sure.
I did-
Hi, everyone.
Before
Oh,
you
yes.
start, Michelle, I just want to point out, Board, this is a 2002, 2003 graduate? What year did you?
2003.
2003 Gateway High School IB graduate who I met in Denver at the National School Board Association Conference. And she's got something that I saw that I thought our kids would get real excited about. So with that, Michelle?
Michelle Perry.
Thank you.
From, how do you say the company name?
Anatomage, yes.
Anatomage.
Yes. So I want to say thank you very much for having me. My name is Michelle Perry. I am the Southeast representative for Anatomage, and I just want to say congratulations also on your National Technology Award that Chuck just made me aware of. And I hope you'll find that this table really falls in line with your vision for promoting STEM for the students of Osceola County. But I have very few PowerPoint slides that I'm going to go through, and then I'll dive right into the software. So just to let you know, the Anatomage is a virtual dissection table, and basically our goal is to provide you with the most accurate real human anatomy and the highest level of detail possible. Our first table came out back in 2011, so we're on our 5th edition, and we have 2 ways of viewing anatomy on the table. The first of them being the cadavers, and we have 3 cadavers on the table. These cadavers, at the time of death, they were flash frozen, sectioned into 0.2 millimeter axial slices. Those slices were then photographed at the highest possible resolution, and then all those photos were compiled into the fully interactive 3D one-to-one life-size cadavers that we have on the table today. This gives you an idea of what the hardware of the table looks like. This is our convertible model. It is composed of an 81-inch life-size touchscreen monitor, so it works just like a tablet. This model rotates from a horizontal to a vertical position. We do have a model that also just stays in the horizontal position. It is on casters, so you can roll it around. It does connect via HDMI to any projector or external monitor, so you could easily incorporate it into any classroom, lecture hall setting, or have students interact with it in a small group setting as well. You can connect it to the internet, and you also can upload any 2-dimensional CT or MRI scan, and the software on the table converts it from 2D to 3D, and that's the second way of viewing anatomy on the table. We have tables in about 700, a little over 700 now, schools worldwide. That number came out back in December 2016. It has increased. We're in anywhere from high schools up to medical schools. And UCF has a few of them, so they're close by. And then also, there have been a few papers that have been written about the table. These are completely independent. This one in particular looked at 238 medical students, found that students utilizing the table along with traditional methods scored significantly higher on their exams than students who only use traditional methods. And I'd be more than happy to share some of those papers with you. And this is the last slide I wanted to show you. This is a 0.2 millimeter axial slice of the human brain. And this is why all of our cadavers are so lifelike, is because all the color, shapes, spatial relationships, everything's been maintained. There were no chemicals used like there normally are in a cadaver. So you're able to even study small soft tissue structures like small blood vessels that are very difficult to pick up in a real cadaver. And our cadavers are great for normal anatomy, but we do also have pathology examples, and I'll show you some of those when I dive into the software. Any questions with any of that real quick?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so this is the actual software that you would see on the actual table. So this is our female cadaver. We do also have 2 male cadavers. And as you can see, I can use this toggle bar here to remove anatomy layer by layer. And of course on the table, you would be doing all of this by hand. Here we can even zoom in to the cardiovascular system. I can bring in the nervous system, the lymphatic system. You even have the option to color code these veins and arteries so that it's easier for students to identify. And there have been over 2,500 different structures that we've traced out per cadaver. So you can actually use our annotation from these structures, and it tells you exactly what you're looking at as well. And then it is a virtual dissection table, so you can make an incision at any angle as well. So I'll just go through here. We can do a sagittal incision. You get a great view here of the anatomy. You can see the heart, and oh, you can't see my little mouse, can you? But you can see the heart, the liver, and the mesentery, spinal column, and we can even zoom in here. And then another tool I'd like to show you is that I mentioned that there are 2,500 different structures that we've mapped out. So you can actually go through and turn systems and structures on or off within our menu. So let's say I just wanted to look at the skeletal and muscular system. I can turn everything else off here. I'm going to turn the skeletal system to transparent so that we use it as a reference point, but it doesn't get in the way. And then for the muscular system, I'm going to turn everything off except for the abdomen and pelvis, because I want to focus on the pelvic floor muscles, let's say. So we've lumped abdomen and pelvis together. And the abdominal muscles are in my way right now, but we do have a tool that we can utilize to go through and remove those abdominal muscles, and it actually identifies them as we remove them. So this is a tool that's great for understanding structural relationships, that's difficult to do on an anatomical model or a book or even a cadaver. Of course, you can always pick undo also and go back. So that's another tool that you wouldn't have available to you on other instruments. But here, now I've gotten down to where we just have the pelvic floor muscles available. And I can go through and go back to our actual menu here as well. And let's say I wanted to turn on the cardiovascular system. I could bring that into the picture so we can see how that relates. And then we can even, let's say, bring in the nervous system if we wanted to see how that relates as well. And then you can actually, so now we've got the nervous system in there. You can also mimic some surgical procedures, some simple ones. So I'd like to show you a really quick example, and that would be a appendectomy. So in a normal appendectomy, what the surgeon would do, he'd identify landmarks like the umbilicus as well as the ASIS, a bony point on the hip bone. And although we can't feel the ASIS, we can do the next best thing here. I can use a pin to actually drop it where that landmark would be, so that when we bring the outer layer of skin back, we know exactly where that point is. The surgeon would then identify McBurney's point, which is 2/3 of the way between these landmarks here. We would go through, and although in surgery this would be more of a linear incision, for the purpose of understanding the anatomy, I'm going to go ahead and make a circular incision here. And so now the computer, okay, what's all the anatomy that's located beneath this circle that I just drew? And it's going to allow me to go through, we're going to zoom in, and click on the anatomy, identify it, and remove it one by one, so that your students will understand, what are the anatomical structures that a surgeon would go through, what would he avoid, and what would he have to be careful around, for instance, nerves, vessels, things like that. And then once we get down here, we can identify the appendix, remove it, and then our surgery is successfully complete. So this is one portion of the table, is our cadavers. Another portion is actually our high-resolution regional anatomy. So we have 20 different areas of the body that you can look at in detail. I opened the heart, but these are just to give you an example of everything else that you could study in detail here on our software. And right next to this 3D reconstruction, we have that axial 2-millimeter slice that was photographed. And everything was mapped out in the XYZ planes. So you can actually view everything in the sagittal and coronal planes as well. And on the table, I could bring that up. Unfortunately, everything's kind of condensed right now. But you can switch this to a sagittal and coronal view. And this orange box right here shows you exactly where that particular slice comes within that 3D model. So we can move this. You can see where that slice is in the 3D heart. And now we do have all the same tools available to us that we did on the cadaver. So I'm removing the outside of the right ventricle here. We can take a peek inside. I can use the annotation tool, click on a structure. It tells me exactly what I'm looking at over here, the tricuspid valve, and it highlights it for you in the cross section over here. This is great for students that will be going into the medical field. They will be identifying anatomy in these cross-sectional orientations. So it's good to expose them to that at a younger age. And then here you go, left ventricle. And then of course, we can also go ahead and let's say you wanted to highlight a particular structure and see that in relation to the surrounding structures by making them transparent. You can do that, for instance, by clicking on the coronary vessels here. See how that wraps around the heart. And then just like you would in any anatomy class, you saw me drop a pin earlier on the hip bone there of the cadaver. We can do the same thing if we were going to create a quiz, for instance. So here I've just sliced through the heart. We have 3 different valves that are visible, the tricuspid, mitral, and pulmonary. And I can go through and say I want to create a quiz for the students just for these valves. I can drop 3 pins here. I can then orient them in any direction that I choose. say, I'm happy with this. This is, the quiz I want to save. I have a couple different ways I can work with this. So the first one being, you can save any of the images as a JPEG file, so you have freedom of use with any of the images you create. You could put them in a PowerPoint, share them on Learning Management. You can blow them up into posters, however you want to use them. The second way is you can actually have students interact with the table and take the quiz while using this kind of as a station. You can lock them out of certain areas like the annotation tool for obvious reasons. And then also, if you have multiple instructors using the table, you can save presets, is what we call them. Actually, you can save up into the hundreds as far as presets go. And I'm going to save this, because I have 15 presets, I'll save this as preset 16. And so if you're an instructor and you're starting out your lesson here, and then let's say, at the end of your lecture, you're ready to quiz your student on that particular preset you made, you can click on your preset and it automatically jumps back to it. And since you would have multiple instructors, what we recommend is that each instructor, after you create your preset, is that you export your presets into a file. The table operates on Windows, so you could save it directly to the table itself or to a flash drive we recommend as a backup. And then when you're ready, when it's your class, you would just import your presets, open them up, and that way everything's organized and nobody, can delete something by accident. And then I mentioned the second way of viewing anatomy on the table, that being our image library. And we have 1,400 different images on our image library. So we have every region of the body represented. We have embryology, we have animal cases, we have comparative anatomy, some museum cases, and microscopic tissue structures as well, histology. So what I have open right now, this is one of our comparative anatomy cases. And this shows a normal healthy aorta up here with good perfusion to the kidneys. This at the bottom is our abdominal aortic aneurysm. The aorta is very calcified and distended, and so are the iliacs. And then over here on the left, we have a stent placement to contain that aneurysm. So these comparative anatomy cases are really good to show students how a clinician's knowledge of anatomy would allow them to make a decision whether or not a patient needs surgery or medical device implantation. And on the table, all of these would be side by side and the same size. So again, it's just condensed for this viewing right here. And then just to give you an example also of a MRI, for instance, we'll open this up. So all of those were CT scans that had been converted to 3D. This is an MRI, which we can view side by side. This is the actual MRI. Again, you get this orange box that shows you exactly where that particular slice data is coming from here. And then I'm actually going to change this filter or rendering. We have different ways of viewing anatomy that highlight different types of tissue depending on what it is you're looking at. So this is our ultra high quality. It's a very photorealistic reconstruction from this MRI here. And then we also have what we call our craniotomy tool. So this allows us to go through and remove the hard exterior tissue and reveal the soft tissue and vasculature of the brain. And actually some of our medical schools that have these tables already were very interested in this new tool which just came out in our latest software update because they're excited about looking at scans of stroke patients, brain injuries, things like that. But again, so here you can see the circle of Willis, and we can slice through these images as well. So if the school district had access to any CTs or MRIs, if for some reason we don't have what the instructor's looking for, you can always upload those as well. And then we do also have, just to give you another idea, we also have, let's see, pathologies where you have a large radiology write-up, so you could use these as case studies for students. So you could assign them to students for projects, things like that. This pathology example, again, is a CT scan. This one happens to be of an ectopic pregnancy.
And everything you're showing us, Michelle, comes with the table.
Exactly. All the software comes with the table, yeah. So here you can actually see the uterus and then the actual fetus sitting outside of the uterus here in the abdomen. And the one last portion of the table I want to show you, this is the most ready-made portion of the table. This is our curriculum. We consider it kind of like an interactive textbook. It was developed with an anatomy professor at Stanford in the medical school. With him, we identified 5 regions of the body, and with each different region, we have different systems associated with it. So I'm going to open head and neck skeletal system here. The great thing about this, these are all CT scans that have been converted to 3D, and all the annotations are actually locked in place. So here again is that 3D reconstruction of the CT scan. I'll bring in our annotations. Again, on the table, it's a lot easier to see because it's a much bigger screen. But as you can see, I can rotate these images at any angle, and these annotations stay locked on those particular structures. You also get interesting clinical views, such as an x-ray. So this is good for students to identify anatomy on these clinical images that they will see when they get into the hospital. And then we also have orientations that might be difficult to orient, some of our cadavers into, like looking down the vertebral foramen here. And the other great thing about this, it does come with PDFs. So you would be able to give students PDF images of this as well. So a lot of schools use it actually as a pre-lab activity to tell students, hey, next week we're studying the cervical spine. I want you to get familiar with this, and they pass that out. We do have hard copies as well. Not too many schools use those. They tend to prefer the PDF. But also, this is the curriculum that was developed for Stanford. It might not be the curriculum that Osceola County wants. As long as you are covered under warranty, we can completely modify the curriculum for you. If you need more annotations, less annotations, we can do that, different orientations, and we would also modify the PDF versions as well. And then I just wanted to close, just going over some of the benefits of the table. So there are papers out there, show educational benefit of the table. Again, I'd be happy to email those to you. It is easy to integrate as far as putting it in front of a large lecture hall setting or in a small group setting. We do have that extensive library with lots of pathology examples, but of course you can always add to it as well. And we're always willing to help you customize, our engineers. And then we can also help you customize that curriculum section as well. And then we do also have a large user community, and we encourage everyone to stay in contact. We have a forum, anatomagetable.com, where you can go on, ask questions, share ideas. It's moderated by our team back in San Jose. And then I also passed out a brochure. It's our user general meeting. We have that every July. It's a 2-day event in California and San Jose. And we invite professors, instructors to come out. They give presentations on how they've integrated the table into their curriculum. This year we're also doing 1-hour workshops led by those professors. And then also our team of engineers is running some workshops as well. So, any questions that I can answer?
I just want to share. Board, what you saw was a presentation, but the real magic in it, when I saw it in Denver, was, and Michelle touched on this briefly, it's kind of like an iPad where you can actually touch the table and move things around. And I think, and I'm always looking for things that excite students. I think students could get excited to use this. That's really, Michelle, thank you.
You're welcome. And I just wanted to mention that we are going to have a table actually at the STEM Forum and Expo that's going to be at Gaylord Palms, July 12th, 13th, and 14th. So please come out and visit our booth, and be more than happy to have you play around with it out there. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Michelle.
Oh,
Question.
yeah.
Are there any high schools here in Central Florida that have?
Not yet. So the first high school that bought one in Florida is in Jacksonville.
Okay.
And they are a private school. There are public schools that have purchased them. They are in California and Kansas, and I've done a few presentations for school boards in Texas, so they're looking into grant money to purchase them there. So if Osceola County was to purchase, you would be the first in Florida as far as public schools. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
How much is it, Michelle?
So the horizontal version, the one that stays horizontal, is $70,000, and then the one that rotates up vertically is $78,000. They have the same exact software package. The only difference is being able to rotate up vertically. It's just a preference. And then we do have a smaller model called the Anatomage Table Alpha. It's about half the size, a 42-inch monitor, and it's $38,000. And it has 2 cadavers. It has a handful of our most popular image library, and it has our curriculum, but it doesn't have the high-resolution regional anatomy. So the heart, the brain, those things you wouldn't get separately.
Okay, now, Mr. Phelps, I've got a high school assistant superintendent, I've got a high school principal this is her first day not being a high school principal in back, and I got my head of CTE. I'm just curious, what do you guys think? Don't all jump up at once.
I used to teach anatomy when I was a high school teacher, so I'm all about the anatomy piece and the interactivity of it. Of course, it's going to be one of those, finding resources to handle it. But another thing I've got to ask is it mobile? I mean, can you move it from school to school, or is it one of those things that you have to?
You can, and Chuck showed me the amazing STEM bus that you guys have. So that would be a wonderful way to move it from school to school. It is on casters, so we actually do have schools that will move it from, room to room or building to building. So it is very durable, very sturdy, but you could definitely move it around. If you had, a bus to take it around, it would be excellent for that. Yeah.
I think I saw one of your slides that, you could also project the images onto a screen.
Correct. Yes.
And would that be possible, like network-wide, or, maybe be able to, the table's over here, but I can have my computer over here?
Certainly. So anything like GoToMeeting, Zoom.us, you could. You can connect it to the internet, Wi-Fi. So if you wanted to keep the table in one room, you could project it into another room. Also, you could project it onto a smartboard. So if you don't want your students actually touching the table itself, and rather than touch the smartboard, you could do that, and they would be able to interact with it on the smartboard.
Oh, is that right?
Mhm.
Very good, very good. Yeah. It's amazing technology.
Thank you.
So I'm impressed.
Do we have anything comparable to this currently in our schools?
Not to this extent, no.
Okay. So,
What medical schools have this right now?
So as I was saying, UCF has one.
UCF has it?
They keep the one they've had for a few years is actually in their cadaver lab. So students kind of use it as a reference while they're actually dissecting. And then they have another one in their PT school, physical therapy, and they just ordered a third one. And I'm not positive where that third one's going yet. But over here in Lake Nona, there is one.
I don't know how the rest of the board feels about it. Obviously, you can only spend $1 once. We all know that. But at the same time, our job is to give our kids big dreams and to give them as many tools as they can to accomplish those dreams and for the real world. And when I saw this in Denver, actually my wife saw it, and she dragged me over and said, "You got to look at this," because I look at things. It's a left brain, right brain thing. I don't look at things the way she does. But this is one of those things that, it's $70,000 or $80,000, but it's an investment in our kids, and that's what we're here for. And if this, if there's a group of kids, we've got some students who say they want to be doctors, and some of them just say, but there's some kids who really have what it takes, and they've known they want to be a doctor since they were 7 years old, and something like this gives our students, no pun intended, a leg up, so to speak. I understand it's not inexpensive. We just got to ask ourselves, is this worth it for our kids?
Mr. Wheeler, I couldn't agree with you more. It's not AMP and anatomy and physiology are classes that are required for nurse. I don't even know if it's required so much for medical school, but I know that it's nice to have, and I do know it's required for physician assistants, for nurse practitioners, and for registered nurse for the Bachelor of Science in Nursing. It's also a great, just general knowledge in science, class to have. I think it can absolutely do all those things that you just mentioned. It doesn't seem it doesn't seem exorbitant at all when you consider how much it can do, to get students and, really excited about medical sciences. And, here we are with a new high school close to the Lake Nona Medical City. Definitely, I would look favorable to something like this.
And in full disclosure, Chairman Soto's son is a medical student at UCF.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah,
We can ask
I will
him
ask
about
him
it.
if he played around with this.
He's also a
table.
Gateway IB grad.
Oh, okay.
Gateway
Very
as well.
nice.
Mr. Booth?
I guess I would suggest, Mr. Wheeler, if it's all right with you, that we allow the staff, our green shirts and our high school curriculum folks to look at it and bring back a recommendation.
It's worth that,
Sure.
absolutely.
And then, so we can move forward.
Sure, if they can figure out how to get it, that's great. I'm looking forward to that. Yeah.
And I just would like to mention, I know it's an investment, but with the cost of the table, it does also include your first year of warranty coverage, technical support, hardware malfunctions. Also, your next software update. We do release software annually. So we're coming out at the beginning of next year with 6.0, which will have a fourth cadaver on there. And just to give you an idea of our image library, the previous year we only had 600 cases on there, and we updated the next year we had 1,400. So we're continually adding more and more cases to our library content as well. And then you would also get a actual engineer would fly out here to do a 4 to 5 hour hands-on training with all the people that would be using it. And then also during your warranty coverage, also you'd have unlimited access to any web tutorials if you have new faculty come on board or anybody needs a refresher.
What's the current update cost each year? I know the first one's included, but thereafter.
Sure. So there's no licensing fee, so we don't require you to pay any licensing fee year to year. You can just purchase the software. It's about $2,000 to $3,000 per year is software update, but we do also have warranty coverage. The best deal right now is our 4-year warranty, so it would be 5 years total for $20,000. And again, that includes all software updates as well as the technical support and any additional training.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
Board,
I
any-
agree with what Mr. Booth said. Let IT and curriculum look at it if there's options for us and come back.
Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely worth that extra step. Board, any other comments or
Thank you,
questions?
thank you, Michelle.
Thank you.
Michelle, well
Thank you
done.
for your time.
Fascinating
Home.
presentation.
Very interesting.
Thank you.
Okay, so that concludes the presentation section of our agenda.
Thank you for the indulgence, but this was something I saw that I thought our kids could benefit from.
It was great. Thanks, Jay.
So our next item on the agenda is appointments and transfer. Mr. Phelps?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Soto. It's my pleasure tonight to invite Mr. Lester Yates to the podium. Mr. Yates has been in the law enforcement field for about 25 years with an Okeechobee County Sheriff's Office in such capacities as School Resource Unit Supervisor, Emergency Management Liaison, and Administrative Lieutenant of Specialty Divisions of Training. He's also been Court Security and Special Events from 1992 to present. His background includes law enforcement, emergency management, teaching, and community service with prior experience in technology and communications. He has received his AS degree in criminal justice at Indian River State College and his bachelor's degree in emergency management from Barry University. On behalf of the superintendent, it's my privilege to recommend Mr. Lester Yates for the Director of Safety, Security, and Emergency Management
Motion
effective
approved.
June 26th.
Second.
All right, so there's a motion to approve the recommendation by Mr. Wheeler, second by Mr.
Discussion.
Tim Weissire. Board, any discussion? Mr. Booth, please proceed.
You currently live in Okeechobee now?
Yes, sir.
We don't have a livestock market anymore here. We don't have the speckled perch here. We don't have cahoots
So we got
here.
Ricky Booth here.
So you're all right with moving up to St. Cloud or Kissimmee?
Yes, sir.
All right, good. Welcome and congratulations. We appreciate it.
All right, so Board, we do have a motion and a second on the table. Without any further discussion, all those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? None. Vote passes 5-0. Congratulations.
And welcome. So when does he start, Randy?
Starts on June the 26th.
Yes.
Okay?
All right.
I know Mr. Shatera is very excited about having him start.
We've already spent some time together today.
I've never
We
se-
took him to the rodeo diner for lunch.
I've never seen Randy skip into the building, but tonight he did, so it was good.
All right, so, would that be it, Mr. Phillips?
Yes,
All
thank
right.
you.
So our next item on our school board meeting is our public comments. Public comments, in order to make a public comment, we ask that you fill out one of these yellow forms and hand it over to us. I only have one right now. I don't know if there's anyone else who wants an opportunity to address the board. Right, so then I start calling. I'll go ahead and call the Miss April Jackson. This is customary, as we ask that you please state your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes to deliver your comments. Welcome.
April Jackson, 722 Mabott Street, Kissimmee, Florida, President of Osceola County Education Association. Tonight I came to address you on House Bill 769. I know that we've all been aware of what's going on, and in our opinion, it's a ruse to give us a little bit of good with a whole lot of bad. For example, the bill is proposing a $1,200 bonus for any teacher that's evaluated as highly effective. Yay! Except they excluded guidance counselors, deans, resource teachers, any coaches at the school. So it doesn't include all classroom teachers, or all teachers, it just includes classroom teachers, those that actually give the instruction. And we all know that it takes the entire staff in order for the students to be successful out of school. Another thing that they said they're doing in this bill is to cut testing. Yay! 2 tests. Out of all of the tests they're doing, they're cutting 2. So they're trying to say it's a good bill, and I'm sure most of you are aware of it, and I know, Tim, you are. When they take some of our funding for Title I schools and encourage the charter schools to use the funding, which they don't actually use sometimes, they don't spend it within the fiscal year, the money is no longer available. So we as a community need to do everything we can to contact the governor to say that this is not in the best interest of public schools. Another thing that really bothers me in this bill is they're now saying that charter schools do not have to have certified teachers. And I know that there is a big discrepancy whether someone needs to be certified or not to teach. Ask yourself this question: would you go to an attorney who has not passed the bar? Would you go to a doctor who hasn't passed his necessary exams? Teachers go to school and are required to pass numerous tests to be certified to teach. If the Title I funds are cut, my biggest fear is that our ESP members are going to be cut in the schools because you can't cut teachers. They need the student ratio, but you could easily cut the ESP positions, or which help the teachers and everybody else at the school to stay and to not be as stressed. So again, I'm asking that we contact the governor and that he veto 769 for the best interest of all of the students in Osceola County. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Okay, comment by Mr. Wheeler?
First off, April, I mean, you're spot on, but every year, the state finds some new game to say, look what we're doing, and then they don't do. And insofar as the testing goes, I want to make it clear that the state, in my opinion, is not testing our students to benefit our students. They're testing our students, number one, because the testing companies have got a contract that they can make money on, and number two, because they're the ones, they want to rate our teachers and see how good they are, and they think they should be in the teacher evaluation business. So the tests, unfortunately, I don't think are really designed or intended to help our kids as much as it's designed to help testing companies and measure teachers. That's my opinion. I can't speak for the entire board, but yeah, Tallahassee does a lot of things that don't make sense now. They have routinely, and next year they'll do something else goofy.
And I forgot one thing, the live feed is not working for tonight's school board meeting. I've gotten probably 20 text messages from people that are asking if that could be corrected and be made available.
Okay.
All right, so
Checking it.
Thank you, April.
All right. Board, any other comments on this topic before we move on?
No.
I agree with Ms. Jackson. I think that this bill is not really advancing the cause for public education, and I do hope that the governor does exercise this veto.
I will
This
just
time-
say that the special session is going to be quite interesting. I don't know if you guys have been following all that's been going on since the announcement even last week, but there's a ton of moving pieces and parts to it, new bills being filed, disagreement between the House and the Senate even yet still, so there's a lot that's going to happen here.
So there is still a little bit of hope that this thing doesn't go through. So at this time, we're going to recess this school board meeting and call to order a public hearing. Mr. Clinch? This has to do with our covered walkways.
Good evening, Mr. Chair and members of the board. Today we bring to you Resolution 17-052. We will be asking for public comment as well as board comment, discussion, and action. Under this resolution, the School Board of Osceola County, Florida, will be approving the implementation of the exemption allowed in Florida Statute 1013.385, Section 2C, which relieves school districts from the requirement of providing covered walkways connecting relocatable buildings that lead to permanent buildings on school campuses. The state requirements for educational facilities, SREF, and the Florida Building Code require non-temporary relocatables which house students to be connected to permanent buildings by covered walkways. Relocatables refer to modular structures not built on permanent foundations, which include district-owned modular buildings and leased portables. SREF further defines non-temporary structures as those placed on a campus for no more than 3 years. Section 2C of Florida Statute 1013.385 was provided by the state in 2016 to allow for relief of the requirement to provide covered walkways leading from non-temporary relocatables to permanent buildings on site. This was provided due to the recognized high cost involved and the fact that most school boards have not had sufficient resources to comply with the SREF requirement due to lack of funding. In order to obtain this relief, a school board must pass a supermajority vote of a resolution implementing the relief. The resolution must demonstrate the following 4 points: how the district achieves cost savings, improves the efficient use of school district resources, impacts the life cycle cost and lifespan, and finally, implementation will not compromise student safety or quality of student instruction. I will address each of these points as follows. A cost-benefit analysis was performed by district staff. The most cost-effective canopy system currently on bid was used in the analysis to show the minimum cost exposure. As you can see from this slide, the minimum cost to the district to comply with the current SREF requirement to install covered walkways from portable buildings to permanent buildings is $2.27 million. This amount includes Michigan Ave Elementary School, Den John Middle School, St. Cloud Middle School, Gateway High School, and Osceola School of the Arts, which are the first 5 comprehensive renovations in the recent voter-approved sales tax program. With the upcoming comprehensive renovations, the intent is to remove portable buildings from these campuses. 2, improves the efficient use of school district resources. Currently, there are over $4 million in high-priority capital projects awaiting funding, plus another $86 million in deferred maintenance. Expending the $2.27 million to add covered walkways to modular buildings would result in deferring high-priority projects. 3rd point, impacts the life cycle cost and lifespan. The funding of covered walkways to permanent buildings would reduce available funding for current and future life safety projects. Although some funding is set aside specifically for life safety-orientated projects, the need often exceeds these funds and must be augmented by other funding sources. 4th and final point, impacts the life cycle costs and lifespan without compromising student safety or quality of student instruction. Enactment of this statutory relief would not change existing conditions at school locations or affect their safety. Should a situation occur where it is deemed prudent for student reasons to provide covered walkways, the district would still have the option to install the necessary cover. Portable buildings will continue to be placed as close to permanent buildings as possible as to allow for easy access between buildings. This concludes my presentation. Mr. Chairman, at this time, we request that you ask for public comment. Once public discussion concludes, the floor will be open for board discussion and comment.
All right, so this being a public hearing, and on the topic here it stated, is there any member of the public that wants to take a moment and give us any input, comments, or questions about what just was presented? All right, seeing that there is no public comment, board, is there any discussion, questions, or anything you would like to add or?
Nice presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Clark.
All right. Y'all good?
I'm good. Had a good
All right.
conversation with Mr. Clinch already.
Just, did we ever determine what the supermajority number is? Is that 4 or is it 5?
No, was it 3 or?
I think it states 3 for a board of 5.
But he said a supermajority.
That's a simple majority, supermajority.
What makes, this requires super, right?
4? 4?
Super is 4.
All right. So, we're ready to vote?
Okay.
We need a motion.
Yeah, no,
Or is it a roll call?
no, just.
Mr. Chairman, we recommend the board approve Resolution 17-052, providing the school district with an exemption allowed by Florida Statute 1013.385, Section 2C, from the requirement of providing covered walkways connecting relocatable buildings that lead to permanent buildings on school campuses. Mr. Chair, it is respectfully requested that this item be put to a vote.
Very well. We'll see no further comment, board. What say you? All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? I don't know if it goes one by one.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be roll
Roll
call.
call.
It does a roll.
call?
That's why I was hesitating.
Okay.
All right, then. Tanya?
Mr. Wheeler?
Aye.
Mr. Soto?
Aye.
Mr. Whiteside?
Aye.
Mr. Thacker?
Aye.
Mr. Booth?
Aye.
All right.
That would be a supermajority.
That's a unanimous vote, 5-0, to approve the resolution 17-052. All right, so this concludes the public hearing, and we will reconvene on our school board meeting. And the next item up is agenda modification. I'll start from my left. Mr. Wheeler, do you
I'm
have
going
any?
to pull the charter schools. Dr. Pace isn't here right now, so.
All right, charter school under 19 is pulled. Okay, Mr. Booth.
I have none. I have none.
All right. There is something that I have under new business, and that is the Florida School Board Association FSBA representative alternate for the school district. Mr. Thacker, do you have anything?
Yes, I'd like to pull item 15, under facilities, under the consent agenda.
Okay.
Consent agenda.
Yes,
Where are we going to put that?
it'll come up right after the consent agenda. Vote on the consent agenda, and then that comes up.
All right.
All right. Mr. Weissire.
Yes, sir. I'm going to pull the item I added under new business for legal fee discussion, and just encourage all the board members first to have a conversation with our legal counsel, and we can circle back around on that at a future time.
Very well. Mr. Phelps?
Good, thank you, sir.
I move for the approval of the agenda with the modifications as stated.
Second.
All right, so there's a motion by Mr. Thacker and a second by Mr. Weissire to approve the modifications and the agenda and the modifications as stated. Board, any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Vote passes 5-0. And
Item
Item 15.
It wasn't, okay.
Mr. Thacker.
I asked for this to be removed. I don't know if the other board members got to sit down with Mr. Clinch and go through this. He did an outstanding job of explaining it, putting everything together. I don't question anything he did. What I do have a problem with, and Mr. Kreppenbacher, maybe a question for you as much as anything. When he puts this together and the state comes back and says this is what we believe enrollment will be, whether we think it's right or not, we have to accept it, which basically says we're not going to get any state funds for construction, while at the same time we have a bill going through that's going to give capital money to charter schools. I disagree with their growth recommendations, and I know that the state requires us to do this, but I'm getting a little tired of supporting things that we know are not accurate for this school district and are not financially good for this school district because we're told to. So I don't know. I know Mr. Clinch, this has to be submitted to the DOE, I guess, by the end of the month.
Yes, sir.
And I don't know what our alternative is, but I'm not going to be able to vote for this when they're giving us data that I disagree with, and it's putting us into a corner. I don't know what options we have.
Good point.
One, you probably have articulated the same feeling of every public person committed to public education in Florida.
Well, I don't know where to
I think our best bet is this. We have to submit it, we submit it, but what I've learned, really more so just in recent years than ever before, is we really need to use our lobbyists internally within DOE. So much of what goes on there is dealt with by an administrative person. I just had a critical issue that came up in virtual education that would have cost every school district. When I brought it, I sit on the CRC with the committee, brought it to the attention of the commissioner. Nobody at a higher level even knew the lower level was dealing with this issue, which would have had an economic negative impact. So my view would be that we submit it. I'd like to get with you, Mark, and Horner, and we find out exactly who's going to be dealing with it, and we make sure that we communicate and talk as best we can. In the meantime, I'll look at what options we have legally beyond that, but I can tell you that they are a huge agency, and frequently the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing. That's why, I'll tell you, a long time ago, I had a directive in Orange County that nobody could talk to DOE unless they ran it through the senior level first, because people would call up and ask for an answer when we were doing something. It was like, wait a second, they're not looking to give you the answer that helps you. So you really got to deal with them, Mr. Thacker, in the theory that they don't think like we think. They're always looking to figure out how to save money, which I don't understand, because if I was them, I'd be pushing to give more money to the districts. And so I think we start with getting with Mr. Clinch, finding out exactly where is it going to move within the agency, and attempt to deal into within the agency, and parallel that with looking at, if we get the wrong answer, what appeal rights do we have?
Well, Mr. Weissier.
Thank you, Chairman. In alignment with Mr. Thacker's concern, and in response to your comment, Frank, what about having an issue lettered from a letter issued from this board to the DOE and submitting the compliance report as required, but then also having the board write a letter saying that we're concerned about the projections that were used, and just expressing our concern with that, as opposed to solely just looking at it from an internal perspective. And I think, everyone will have to speak to this as they desire, but I think part of the concern is the board doesn't want to be, as a board, passive in these type of situations, and wants to make sure that our voices are being heard and leveraged effectively. So I think about it as, number one, we have a compliance component to deal with, as do all other districts. Number two, we have an opportunity to take the approach that you had mentioned. And number three, we can request a very tactful letter from the school board addressing what our concerns are and outlining what our specific case is, so that ultimately the key decision makers for this district are allowing their voice to be heard with the concern.
I think you use a very appropriate word, a very tactful, polite letter from the board to both the commissioner and the chairman of the state board that said, we'd ask that you politely look at this. Here are the issues we're seeing, and we want to make sure the dollars are right. Our staff is going to work with your staff, et cetera, would be very helpful.
Okay. So, board, if you're inclined with that, and obviously we'll allow discussion as needed, but I'd be glad to make that motion this evening that we move forward with submitting a
Or do
letter.
we want to do a letter under protest? That we're doing it, that we're delivering it under protest.
No, I would take the former, not the latter.
Okay.
Let's continue the discussion. Mr. Thacker?
Two questions. One, I understand where he's coming from. I won't write that letter because it wouldn't be tactful.
Well, I do it. I do it.
That's what Ricky, Kelvin, and I are here for.
Yes, thank you.
Jay said he would do it.
That's why I said Ricky, Kelvin, and I.
I say let Jay do it.
And just a follow-up question. I know we got to be in by the 28th or whatever that date is of the month. Is there anything we can do? Our next meeting is on the 20th. Is there anything we can do between now and the 20th to work with the DOE before this is approved? Or is it too late? We just got to go?
Clarify something along those lines, and before you, it seems to me as though this is what it is. It speaks for itself. It's an objective measure. Am I right?
It is. We hired a consultant to work through the 5-year Ed Plant survey. Very knowledgeable company that has performed many of these for other school districts and followed the rules as set forth by the Department of Education.
All right, thank you. And Mr. Booth, you had something to
I
say.
just, I want to thank, first of all, Mr. Thacker for bringing this up since I've been on this board. I mean, with the financial director before, the CFO before, Ms. Graber, we sat down and had many meetings with Mr. Cease about how we're projecting this, and the state says, well, no, it's going to be this, and well, no, we really know it's going to be this. So I want to thank Mr. Thacker for bringing it forward, and I think Mr. Weisshire is 100% correct. I think that's exactly what we need to do. I think tactful is the right word. Not Jay Wheeler tactful, but
Well,
tactful.
how do they know you're being serious if you don't let Jay write it?
But tactful, I just want to say here publicly that I think that's a great path for us to go down. I want to thank Mr. Clinch and his team, though, by the way, for putting this all together. I did get the chance to meet with them on Friday, and we had a good meeting. And but we've got things coming up in 7069 that are going to have a big impact on this district, and we need to make sure we're represented correctly at the state level. So thank you, Mr. Weisshire. Thank you, Mr. Thacker. I appreciate it.
Chairman, if there's no further discussion and I'm recognized, I would make a motion that the board move forward with writing a letter to the DOE and the State Board of Education, letting them know our concerns with the calculations and projections for growth in Osceola County and the impact it has on our funding.
Second.
All right. Just one comment, quick comment. If I may, Mr. Clinch, clearly, I'm not questioning your work or the thing your team did with this. All excellent, but see other issues.
Yes.
Agreed.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Do we need to now approve this, though, or are we holding off until we get the letter? Are we going to table 15?
No. Let's do the letter, then we'll take a vote on 15. So we have a motion.
Table it to the other meeting?
No, nobody's, I haven't heard anything about tabling.
His motion was to approve.
All right.
Well, send it on.
Currently, my motion is just regarding the letter, and I'm glad to make a second motion after that.
Just the letter.
Okay. All right, so we have the motion to go ahead and draft that letter. The contents therein, which are to put on the record of objection to how this is being calculated and how it affects us. Second by Mr. Booth. No further discussion, board, take a vote. All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none. Vote passes 5-0.
And now, Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion that we approve the item presented by Facilities for the 5-year educational plan survey.
So that is a motion to approve by Mr. Tim Weisshire, number 15, the 5-year educational plan survey. Do I have a second? I second the motion. Board, any comments? Anything further? Oh,
Yeah, Mark, before we submit it, can you and I get together, because I'd really like to identify the minute it hits that department, where is it going?
Yes, sir.
Because
We'd be happy to do that.
knowing where that's going to move immediately can frequently be the whole game.
all right.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Board, I would just comment, I don't know where the board's going to go on this motion, and I do understand that there was some conversation about postponing it. Just so you understand, my concern is that no matter what we're required to be in compliance to submit this, I'm not adverse to a superior motion to table this until, or it wouldn't really be a table, to postpone the approval of this to our next meeting, although I would caution that at the end of the day, we still have to submit it. The work has still been done. That's why my motion is for us to move forward. We're required to be in compliance. This is important. I think our approach with having our legal counsel and staff work through that and then having the letter deals with what we need to deal with. But I would caution that no matter what, we're going to have to approve this in order to be in compliance as a school district.
Very well. Mr. Thacker?
My only question would be, I hear Mr. Weisshire, I agree with him. Right now, if we vote tonight, which probably the lone vote, but I would probably vote in the negative on this. I guess my question that I would need answered, and maybe, I don't know, I would doubt anybody can answer right now, but maybe they can, is what, I know we're required to submit this, what is the penalty for not submitting, or the effect of not submitting it? Because they tell us to, and I don't know what that is, or what that consequence might be.
They'll build a wall around Osceola County.
Aye.
May
May I just think, Mr. Thacker, may I just inquire?
To approve it, until we receive their final approval, they can freeze any state funds.
Ms. Rhonda?
To use to complete any of the capital projects.
Ms. Rhonda,
So there is a penalty.
would you please repeat that into the
didn't hear
record?
what you said. I'm sorry.
Good afternoon.
Rhonda Blake, Director of Planning Services. From the day we send it, they have 30 days to approve it, the Department of Education. Until we receive that approval, they can freeze any funds that might be available that are considered state funding for any projects. So for example, we did the Gateway High School rifle range was used with those type of funding. So if that project was out there in a holding pattern, until we receive our new approval, that project would have remained on hold. So there are a few projects that we use those funds for, so they'll go into a holding pattern.
Could I ask a question? Is there a negative, Rhonda or Mark, if we waited to the next meeting? Is there
It just would carry our approval into July 20, so any projects, I'd have to have Sarah check, and I don't know that she'd know immediately if we have any projects with fundings attached. So from July 1 to July 20, we could put a project on hold. I do not think there are any projects out there using those fundings, but I can't guarantee that.
Rhonda,
All right, so,
what about the grant for retrofitting those two schools?
Well, grant money's typically not the state funding
Just
we're
checking.
referring to, correct, sir?
The reason I raise that, Commissioner, is I think it's very important, the timing of the letter, literally,
Talking
the
St.
letter
Cloud.
goes, and we follow up like
Which two?
2 days later with the filing, so that we have said to the leadership, this is a concern before we actually file the document. So we can have you approve it tonight and sit on it till you finalize the letter and we get the green light, it's been sent, and then file the document.
makes sense. Hold on, just, you still have the floor.
No, I'm good. That was
Okay.
not-
All right, so then, Mr. Booth.
My question was a question of consequence and enforcement mechanism. I think that question has been asked and answered. I guess if maybe we could, because I agree with Mr. Krummebacher here, if we could have, maybe amend this motion to say we will submit it, the letter first, and then submit. So you have to give us, the five of us, a little bit of time, maybe a couple days, to draft this letter and approve of the language, all five of us. And then, so you said it's about a 2-day, or what's the window you believe?
Once Tanya, the chair, says the letter's gone, we'll then wait like 2 days and send.
Okay, as long as there's direction, I
Yeah.
guess, given that.
But that'll
Thank you,
give
sir.
us a couple of days to also figure
Okay.
out the internal handling of this.
Mr. Phelps, so do you understand what the direction is and the timing of how this is going to be filed?
I believe so. I just have a couple of questions. Okay.
All
One, the letter will be drafted first. We'll send that out, and then we are approving this item tonight, but then we're going to send it out a couple days after the letter is sent. My only point of clarification is who is writing the letter? Is somebody from the board writing this letter? Would you like Mr. Kruppenbacher and Mr. Clinch, along with the superintendent, to write that letter? And do you want to review that letter prior to it going out?
Yeah, absolutely want to review it.
Yeah, we would be happy to take the first stab at the draft.
Thank
I
you.
believe we understand the issues that are at play, and we'd be happy to do that as a starting point.
If you would, just, just email me and the rest of the board, Mr. Thacker, give him an opportunity to make sure that his points are well articulated. I agree with Mr. Thacker, and I agree with his position. It's just that I do not quite understand what tabling or not is going to really do for us in terms of what we're trying to advance here. But the letter definitely does, and I think that was a good suggestion by Mr. Weiser, I think it was. So we'll go ahead and,
I know we're thinking on our feet as I'm thinking
that's
of
okay,
Tallahassee.
we can do that in a board meeting. We're all friends.
Actually, once we have that document ready to go, once your letter's ready to go, I think we include that as an attachment to the letter.
Sure.
And we send them all out the same.
Or just make it
So
part
that
of.
way
make
they are
it part of the
seeing
filing.
they're seeing that this board has dealt with this particular, and we're asking them to pay attention to it.
Yeah, Tim, and I did them to the filing.
Yeah, and just a couple quick questions, and I think we're there already. I think not approving this would be an exercise in futility. Number one, I think, as articulated, I agree with taking a stab at the original draft of the letter. I completely agree with everybody said, though, this board as a whole needs to approve the language, and I think it should be signed by all members of this board as well. And then the approach that Frank said, I'm perfectly fine with as it being an attachment to the submittal of the report.
Very well.
So I would like to clarify that. It's done through an electronic system called EFS, and I do not believe we can add an additional attachment.
No. Can you print off you can print the
And then you
report
send
off.
it-
We will attach it to the hard letter that goes.
It's 9,000 pages.
We'll file it and mail it, but they're going to get it also a hard copy. in the
About 400 pages, but yes, we can print
Well,
it
that's even
separate.
better. That
Okay.
way
All right.
Let them get what we get.
All right. Okay.
Okay, all right. So, Tim, you still have the floor.
No, sir, I'm fine. I think we're all in agreement.
Very well. All right, so we've had enough discussion. Anything else that's left? Final thoughts?
Just one more point of clarification. So once the draft is completed, we'll send it out to the board, and the board will individually respond to, I guess, Mr. Clinch or whoever actually sends the letter, but probably Mr. Clinch, to just provide input as to what you would like to see revised or...
Just have the signature blocks for all 5 of us.
Understood. All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion pending by Mr. Weishire to approve item 15, a second by myself. Approval of the 5-year educational plan survey. We gave directions to the district as to how we want this letter and this submission to go forward. Board, any further discussion? All right, hearing none, we have a motion on the floor. All those in favor to approve, please state aye.
Aye.
All opposed, state no.
Aye.
All right. The vote passes 3-2. I vote no as well.
Whatever. I say no.
3-2. Yeah. All right, so I believe that's it for consent item. With that item pulled, we're now up to our information agenda item. Update of strategic plan, strategies, increase and strengthen college pathway for all students. This is so exciting. Good afternoon, Dr. Reinhardt.
Dr. Reinhardt is here, Mr. Allen is here.
Yes.
And I am here, and we're glad to be here with you
Yeah, we're
tonight.
past 6:30.
We're going to update you on Goal 1 academic success, specifically about Strategy 1C, which is increasing and strengthening our college and career pathways for all students. As we go through tonight, we're going to update you on these main milestones relative to some successes that we have already seen, and even though we haven't gotten all the testing back, we still have some successes that we've had. And I want to call your attention to these because some of them are related to our contract with College Board, specifically PSAT and SAT and the AP courses that we have. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to my counterparts, Mr. Allen and Dr. Reinhardt.
Thank you. Good evening, Board. All right.
This is, you know, that Jay is just waiting to pounce on this, so.
I know.
Actually,
I'm
we already
ready.
spoke.
Oh, you, all right.
I've already been pounced upon. It's all good.
Oh, it was nice.
I know you were. I'm just teasing. Sorry.
I just want to acknowledge how much, invested personally and emotionally Jay is in this topic.
And I appreciate
And it's
that.
because it's
though.
very important. and-
Absolutely, it is very important. So what you're going to see this evening are just a few of the opportunities that we've provided for our secondary students in the past school year, the 2016-17 school year. Just as a reminder, our PSAT was given to all of our 9th, 10th, and 11th grade students. The district chose to pay for the 9th and the 11th graders to take the test, and the 10th grade administration of the PSAT is paid for by the state of Florida. There are lots of good reasons for students to take the PSAT. It's a great practice for them to prepare for the actual college entrance exam, the SAT. Juniors can start to earn scholarships based upon their scores on the PSAT because they receive recognition through the National Merit Scholarship Qualifying Test. Also helps students to begin their college search, and it helps them to see how their academic skills will compare to other students. And maybe the most important reason for them to take this test is for us to help our students direct a learning goal for them in high school. We have also administered the SAT to all of our juniors this past year during our SAT day, and able to administer to our at-risk seniors also the SAT on our SAT day. And as you can see by this slide, that we're very pleased with the results. 41% of our seniors who were at risk for not graduating because they had not met the concordant score on the FSA, ELA portion of the test passed using the SAT concordant score. Also, you can see from the slide that 71% of our juniors, because they all got to take it, have already received a concordant score. So interestingly enough, if we look at that same group of juniors who last year took the FSA test, during last year's testing, 42.5% of them passed the FSA test. This year, when we were able them to take the SAT, we were able to increase that to 71% already meeting that graduation requirement. So we're very pleased with that result. And also, we've been able to, we believe, with our intentional efforts here with the SAT, based upon our post-secondary plans, we've been able to reduce the number of students who have had certificates of completion from 3.42% last year to 1.53% this year.
Say that again, what are those?
So students who pass all the requirements in high school for credits, but they can't pass the state assessment test, they get a certificate of completion. And we've been able to reduce the percentage of students who receive a certificate of completion from 3.42% last year to 1.53% this year. Yeah, we're very pleased with that. Yes, sir. Okay. This slide is showing a comparison of our PSAT data. So again, reminder, all of our 9th, 10th, and 11th graders this last year took the PSAT. We give really two different versions. There's the PSAT 8th, 9th grade, for 8th and 9th graders, and that we gave that test to our 9th graders. It's more academically aligned to where they are in the progression of courses. We give the PSAT 10 to our 10th graders, which is the test that the state pays for, and the PSAT NMSQT, try to say that 3 times fast, is given to all of our 11th graders. So we use those results to determine if our students are on track for college and whether they are ready in their readiness for reading, writing, and math. These scores will help our students, they help the parents and our teachers determine how well a student may perform on the SAT, which is the test, obviously one of the tests that's used for entrance into college. The 11th graders also, when they take the PSAT NMSQT, they are automatically screened for the National Merit Scholarship Program. And it should be noted that last year we had 2 students who qualified for the NMSQT. We don't have final results, but we currently believe that we have students who have the potential to be a National Merit Scholarship finalist. And also, a lot of attention has been given in the last year to improving our the number of AP exams that we're giving. We had a goal to increase the number of offerings, the courses, AP courses, as well as participation in AP courses throughout the entire district. We've added additional courses to all of our comprehensive high schools as well as to Osceola Virtual School. And we've increased our number of AP exams this last year that were given by over 1,800 from the prior year.
Dr. Reinhardt, you
Yes,
and I
sir.
spoke about this earlier today.
Yes, sir.
Next month, you're going to get the AP test results, correct?
Absolutely.
You could bring back, I'd be curious to see, it's great that we've increased the number of exams given, but is the pass rate going up?
Absolutely.
And where was the pass rate prior to this, and where is it, and how are we trending? Because, I mean, it's great that we're challenging our kids, but it's about them being successful.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I totally agree. We will absolutely bring that. We expect the data to be in usually the first week of July for AP
You got it
exams.
the second meeting in July, first week of August, first meeting in August, whichever one.
Okay.
Whenever you're ready with it.
Absolutely. Very good. Thank you. So you'll see here on this, oops, sorry. I was just going to say, you can see on the slide some of the courses that we offered. The other thing I just wanted to point out is that we've had 4 of our high schools have applied and have been accepted to be able to offer the AP Capstone program starting next year, which is really a 2-course sequence of courses that culminates our kids being able to do a research project. It's a wonderful program. It really enables them to dig into research that they're very interested into.
That's transferable for college credit.
Yes, sir. Yes, the AP, yes, sir. And on the next slide, you will see we've done some intentional work with helping our students to not just take tests, not just take the PSAT and the SAT, but really work with them to try to enhance their scores and to better prepare them for college. And the College Board has partnered with us using the Khan Academy. And the students can link their account, their test scores that they get on the PSAT and the SAT to the Khan Academy so that they're doing work that's directly related to the areas that they want to improve in, whether that's the reading, the writing, the mathematics. And so but there's been a lot of effort to really work on that Khan Academy practice. We've increased, what this slide's showing you is the linkage, how many students are linked to their actual accounts so that they are working intentionally on what they need to individually work on. We've increased those linked accounts. Well, when we did this, it was over 2,700, but right at the end of the school year, we had all of the high schools really work with our 9th graders to actually make sure they were linked as well. So I know that number is actually greater now. And we've had a summer program where we're really trying to give incentives to the schools and the students to really make sure they're doing work with the Khan all summer long to work on getting them ready to take the SAT or the PSAT next year.
Laura, we had said last year that we had every student in the district linked, right? Thought that was one of our bragging points, that we were the only one that had that.
I don't know if we have every student. I think we had the most. I think, and yeah, we had shown the greatest number of gains and linkages. I don't know if I don't know that I could say every student, but I think we in the area we had the most linkages, and I know we won an award for that. So yeah, recognition. Yeah.
That's why I was asking, because the increase, I was under the impression we had everyone linked. It's fine.
I'll check on that for you, Mr. Weisher. Okay, and at this time, I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Allen to talk about our TIP program.
Good evening, Board. So, for many years, our middle schools have taken part in Duke University's National Talent Identification Program. It's more commonly known as Duke TIPS. This program identifies 7th graders that have scored in the 95th percentile on state assessment scores in their prior year. And then they invite the students to take the SAT. Most commonly, sometimes the students will take the ACT, most commonly the SAT, simply for practice and for the experience. So then, based on these SAT scores through Duke University, students may be invited to take part in enrichment activities through the university. This year, we've broadened the concept by reinstituting our Osceola TIP program, which identifies our academically competitive 7th graders that score in the 90th percentile or higher. These students, too, take the SAT exam. Typically, they take the exam at 2 of our identified test locations, which is Horizon Middle School and Neptune Middle School. And all of the students then are invited to take part in our summer enrichment program, which just happens to be taking place right now this week at Osceola High School. So as you can see, this year we've been able to more than double the amount of students that gained from this experience, 36 last year as compared to 88 this year. And we are dedicated and we intend to increase that number next year as well. So while the students engaged in their 3-hour assessment at those 2 site locations, we capitalized on the opportunity by presenting to parents relevant topics such as GPA calculation and high school programs, high school program options such as IB, advanced placement, and dual enrollments. And like I mentioned, our summer program is taking place right now at Osceola High School. Students are engaging in challenging problem-solving activities. In fact, they are going to be they have an escape room with which to take part in. They're going to have to escape. And on Thursday of this week, they're going to be touring University of Central Florida and Florida Polytechnic. So at this time, Dr. Respis, Dr. Reinhardt, and I are happy to field any questions you may have.
Very good. Board?
Oh, very good. I appreciate it.
Great information, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hold on a second. Just a moment. I just want a little bit, to go over the slide number, page 4, PSAT data. I just wanted, if someone can go ahead and put these numbers into context here. The chart.
Okay, you want further explanation? Yeah,
go ahead.
absolutely, absolutely. So what you're seeing in this chart is students who have met, we're breaking it down by column, students who have met the benchmarks for both the evidence-based reading and writing component of the PSAT and the math component. So you'll see that, for example, for the ninth graders that took the PSAT, we had 30% of our ninth graders meet both benchmarks for evidence-based reading and writing and mathematics. For the 10th graders on their PSAT, again, reminder that this is a different test. It's considered harder because they're further along in their curriculum. 21% met both benchmarks, and for the 11th graders, also 21%. And then we just broke it down so you could see we definitely need to, there's more intentional effort. The kids struggle more with the math as they're trying to get them ready for college. And there's a different benchmark for college readiness than obviously the concordant score or when we talk about what they need for high school. So this is actually talking about what you see to the far right of the chart is telling you what the cut score is to be college and career ready for evidence-based reading and writing, and what the cut score is for math.
Those are the last two columns.
That's the last two columns, yes, sir.
So just focusing on the PSAT and MSQT.
Okay.
Cut score is 460 for the reading and 510 for the math.
Exactly.
But here it's only 21% of the test takers actually met both of those scores.
Correct. Yes.
Now, what kind of score? Do you have an idea? What is the score needed to qualify for the MS and NMSQT?
I don't know. Yeah, that's a tongue twister. I don't know what that is because what they do each year is they take all the students that take it that year and they rank order them, and so that actual cut score actually kind of fluctuates and varies from year to year.
It's more along a percentile.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. It's more about the percentile ranking.
All right. Thank you. Board, any other questions, comments, discussion? None?
No, but as we go forward into the summer with strategic planning, you'll be bringing additional recommendations to further address this, as well as comparison of how we're looking compared to surrounding districts and neighbors in the same market and region.
Yes, yes. We're trying to gather all of that data, yes.
Sure. I know it's early, but we've got a lot of conversation to have over the summer.
Absolutely.
And
I just had a sort of a related question. This year, we offered the SAT also, right?
Yes, sir. We offered the SAT to, yes.
I know those are individual. Will we get compilation of those scores? Do we get any feedback on that or not?
Oh, yes, absolutely. You want something similar, you would like to see something similar to maybe what we have with the.
Do we have that yet? I mean, I know it's not here, but.
Yes. Well, do you, just that when we gave it to the juniors and the seniors, yes,
Yeah.
I can get that, yes.
No, I'd just like to see that, so when we get it, if we do it again next year, we can start to see if changes too and where our students stand.
We could see whatever results we got from last year, to Clarence's point. If we could get to this year's results and last year's, we can see, number one, just the gross number of students taking it year A versus year B, but also how are our scores trending?
Right.
Well, one final, I guess, any other lights on? No? All right, so one final thing. I'll speak for myself. I'm very pleased that just the number of students taking it, linking with the Khan Academy, the fact that they're being exposed to this is great news. By all means, you should be very proud of your work. Thank you so much for what you do. And I'm looking forward to knowing more about this and, what else we can do to encourage our students, to continue making education part of their cultural identity, or the community identity. And I think this goes a long ways towards that.
The awareness, yes.
Yes, and I think, I always see exam tests as a learning and teaching tool, more than even an evaluation tool. I think that those are exercises that help students motivate and see where they're going and gives them that information about themselves. And that's what this is doing, regardless of whether they meet the benchmark or not. Great work. Thank you very much for what you do.
This, what you presented here just reinforces the confidence I have in this entire leadership team, so thank you.
Indeed. Well said.
I do have the SAT data. Do you want me to read it to you, or would you rather I send it in an email? What would be better?
Tell us a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. So for last year on the SAT day in March, for our 11th graders, we gave the test to 3,950 students. The prior year, we only gave it to 279 students. So that's right, because we didn't provide that to every student. So this year, and I'm talking SAT Day this year in March, 3,950 students, 18% of them met both the college and career benchmark for math and the evidence-based reading and writing. 48% of them met it in evidence-based reading and writing, and 19% met it in math. That was the juniors. For the seniors, I can give you that data, but keep in mind that we only gave it on our SAT Day to our at-risk seniors, so it wasn't the entire senior class. One of the things that we're proposing for this next year, we're adding to the contract that you'll see in a little bit, is that we test all of our seniors in the fall, so that we'll have better data for all of them. But for the at-risk data is kind of.
Even the kids who've taken it, we're going to test them again? If you've taken it as a junior, you take it again as a senior?
Yes, sir.
Even if you've gotten, 1,400 or something like that?
Well, we won't make anybody, we will offer the opportunity for them to do it. The research shows that students who take it more than once typically always improve their score, and most especially if they're working on the con. We actually have research that shows how much they'll improve their score. So yes, we do think they'll do better.
They need to keep taking it, because in 30 years, they may get some kind of huge bonus based on their SAT score.
You're going to be the Secretary of Education at that point, right, Mr. Thacker?
Well said, Clarence, well said. All right, all right. Anything further, board? They've been standing up there for a while. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All of you.
And Clarence again is writing the letter, right?
I failed on the tack, that they threw in the tactful word, and I couldn't, I was eliminated.
All right, all right, board, we're now to our regular agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve items A, B, and C.
Second.
All right, so we have,
Curriculum and instruction.
under curriculum instruction, motion by Mr. Booth to approve A, B, and C, a second by Mr. Wheeler. Board, any discussion on these? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, vote passes 5-0.
I make a motion to approve items, or do we need to do D and E by themselves first, or approve F, G, and H first?
I think we take them all.
Didn't Jay pull?
No.
No, I didn't pull anything.
Oh, I thought you pulled
No,
that.
it was something at the end. Jay
Oh,
was-
it was your discussion at
Yeah,
the
yeah,
end.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sorry, I thought you were
All
pulling.
right, so we have a
I
motion.
make a motion to approve items D through
H.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Thacker to approve items D through H, second by Mr. Weissire. Board, any discussion? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, vote passes 5-0.
Mr. Chairman, under Business and Finance, I'll make a motion to approve letters I through T.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Weissire to approve letters I through T, second by Mr. Booth. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, vote passes 5-0. Information and technology. Anyone? This is for focus.
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chairman, to approve item U as submitted.
I'll second the motion with discussion.
Very well. Motion by Mr. Wheeler to approve items U, second by Mr. Weissire with discussion. You have the floor.
Thank you, sir. I just wanted to let the board know I did briefly reach out to Mr. Curran to have a brief understanding, because there is a significant price increase incorporated in this contract for us, as well as just get an understanding of where things are going, because I had concerns with the level of service that we were getting with Focus with the initial implementation. I do want to let you know, though, and Robert, thank you. He did explain to me that the level of service that they're providing for us at this point has been improving. But I'm bringing this up as a point of conversation because I want to make sure that the folks at Focus are aware that it's been a concern of mine, and as we go to renew this contract, that I'm looking for the responsiveness and the support and the service that we deserve with the level of contract that we may be approving tonight. It was also my understanding, based on the conversation response to Mr. Curran, that the way that the contract is put together with the price increase, that does scale up over the 5 years, and it does also include that if we go for an additional 5-year renewal after that, that there's no additional price increase. And so because I had that conversation, I wanted to make the board aware, but I also want to make sure Focus is aware that this was something that was concerning to me, has been. I'm pleased that Mr. Kern is happy with where we're at and is bringing this forward as a recommendation, but I think we need to continue to be mindful of the impact that a lack of service with this particular product could provide for all of us in the district. Thank you.
Duly noted. Mr. Tucker?
Actually, Mr. Kern, Tim answered my question, so you're off the hook. But I had the same concerns with the very rocky start we had with them and some of the fights and discussions over who was responsible and who was making changes in the background and all those things that were very, very rocky. If, based on what I'm hearing Tim saying, that things are working their way out, and I'm okay then.
We actually built in a service level agreement into this agreement so that if the system is unavailable to us for more than a day, they get penalized financially.
And Chairman, I don't know if I'm recognized.
Yes.
Again. Okay. I should also point out, to follow up with my prior comment, that sometime probably 6, 8, 10 months ago, I did participate in a conversation with integration with another product, and I should also point out that Focus was very responsive, and I guess it goes to your point in your response to me, that has continued to improve, and I think some of that probably has to do with your work and your effort in your department, so I want to thank you for that, and should also make note, although I'm raising my earlier concerns, that I did also have a good response and good experience just a few months ago with some of that, so just to be fair.
Board, any other comments, questions, discussion? This is the time. Hearing none, we have a motion pending. We'll vote. All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, vote passes 5-0.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve items V, X, and W.
Second.
All right, so we have a
V, X, and Y.
VX and Y. So we have a motion by Mr. Thacker under facilities to approve V, X, and Y. The second by Mr. Weiser. Any discussion on those 3 items, board? Hearing no discussion, we'll take a vote. All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none. Vote passes 5-0.
Mr. Chairman, I will make a motion to approve item W.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion by Mr. Booth, a second by Mr. Weiser to approve item W. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman and Board, I will be abstaining from voting on item W. My son works for Moss and Associates, who is the construction management firm being recommended here.
All right, so we have that on the record. Board, any further discussion before we take a vote? Hearing none, we'll vote. All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Vote passes 4-0. 1 abstention. School operations. So we're done with the voting part of our agenda.
Right, made me happy.
Yes, sir. Oh, you have anything?
Nope, I'm happy to.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, so you got your help there, finally. Dr. Pace is out, but Mr. Phelps, do you have anything?
Good to go, sir. Thank you.
All right. The attorneys,
Yes, real quickly, we need 2 executive sessions at the next meeting on the Thacker lawsuit and the Gelman lawsuit. Or Gellin lawsuit, we will.
Not me.
Not Mr.
Nobody I know.
Nobody related.
Nobody related to.
Thacker. In attendance will be the board, the superintendent, and general counsel, and the attorneys handling the case. No one else will be there. There'll be a court reporter when it's over. It'll be transcribed. Only settlement and/or litigation strategy will be discussed. And when the case is completely finished, that transcript will be available for the public to read.
all right, so we'll add that following the June 18th board
Yes, sir.
meeting. Okay? Anything?
So I look forward to getting with each one of you on the legal issue.
So, we have that. I see no unfinished business unless anybody want to bring something up at this time. No? New business, there's only the FSBA issue. So, let me go ahead and bring that up. I believe everybody received the same email that I did. And
A bunch of emails from FSBA, so I'm not sure which one you're talking about. I get like a
Right,
daily
right.
alert.
I don't know if I know what you're talking about.
well, that's okay. This one was This is the FSBA, and I'll just read the pertinent part. The FSBA bylaws and calls for each school district board to annually designate a member and an alternative to serve on the FSBA Legislative Committee. So this is something different from, just our membership. So what they're asking us is to go ahead and select any member of the school board, any one of us eligible.
I've got 4 that I can recommend.
Yeah, Tim currently serves on the legislative.
And if Mr. Weiss.
But I think it's that because, but I think that we just need to select the next year one.
Do we need to do that in this meeting?
Correct.
Yeah.
I'll vote for Tim.
So currently, we have,
You want to still do it?
Mr. Weissier serving, and who's the alternate?
You.
You. You didn't show up that day.
And I'll make a motion that you.
And I've been there and done that, so
That's
you
the
guys can
thing.
do it.
Calvin, I want you to know you've done an exceptional job as being the alternate.
Here's the nice thing about being alternate, is that you don't even need to know that you're the alternate when you have Tim as the actual person, because you live for this kind of stuff. I think that the rest of the board is happy if you continue, so is that something that you're willing to do?
It is. I would like to let the board know, though, since we're talking about this, I was asked to be the chairman of the legislative committee for the state and did decline that appointment. The time commitment with other legislative work that I'm doing was just too much to take on at this time, to be honest with you. So I've agreed to continue to support the work and be a part of the conversations, obviously at the state level, but I was not able to take the appointment for chairman.
Who is chairing that, Tim?
I have not heard who they've selected or have asked after me.
Carol.
She was at the master board training. She was one of the trainers. Carol.
Oh, Carol
From-
Cook.
yeah, from Pinellas County.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
All right, so I believe that this is something that we have to take action by vote. So,
I make a motion that Tim Weissier continues on as our legislative liaison to the Florida School Board Association with Kelvin Soto as the alternate.
all right.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion by Mr. Wheeler to reappoint Mr. Weiser and myself as the,
No.
to serve on the legislative committee, and myself as an alternate, second by Mr. Booth. Any further discussion? We'll take a vote. All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Vote passes 5-0. Okay, so that concludes that business. Mr. Wheeler pulled that, so I don't believe there's anything else before I adjourn? No? All right, then this meeting is adjourned. Have a good night, everyone.
All right.
Thank you.
Go Gators, softball girls, by the way.